Meanwhile, there's a direct impact on our mental health and well-being when dealing with finances, as it tends to exhaust an enormous amount of brain power. Jasmine Marra from Bromwich+Smith joins us this morning to discuss. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Andrea.
Thanks so much for being here. This is a very important conversation to have today, focusing on finances, mental health, of course. And I know a big part of it is that finances are completely interwoven into our lives, whether we like it or not. But actually managing it seems to be more of a modern survival skill. Can you explain that?
That's absolutely right. Like it or not, money is definitely central to the fabric of our lives. And it's so important to understand how to manage it effectively for our lives and for our well-being. And it becomes especially important when we see an external trigger, whether that be a divorce, a job loss, or even something like the current pandemic that's affecting us so much.
Something, too, that I've noticed, and I can relate to this, likely where we learned a lot about what we know about finances is a learned behavior. So this is something that a lot of us picked up from our parents and maybe how they treat finances, where they invest, and so on and so forth.
That's very true. Because we don't really have a formal financial training as part of our public education curriculum, most of us pick up our money habits and our money norms from our parents. So that leaves us all with a very different perspective and imprint on how to handle money.
So how exactly is money impacting our mental health as a whole? Maybe just to break it down for people.
That's a great question. Money is so central to our well-being. And I think sort of everyone really intuitively understands that. But there was a research study done by the University of Southampton where they actually found that those that are struggling with debt are 3 times as likely to also experience a mental health challenge. And in that scenario, this stress from the finances can actually manifest into physical symptoms. And it's more likely that we'll experience things like migraines, headaches, anxiety, depression, muscle tension, and back pain. So it can become very physically real as well.
I think that's a big part of it, too, is that we don't realize how much brain power we're actually exhausting to help find solutions when it comes to finances. As you mentioned, even in that, right, you're just constantly think about it and might not even know that it is just circulating in your mind.
Absolutely. It sort of starts to consume everything we do. And lots of studies and research have shown that we use so much brain power to figure out, how do we get out of this or what are solutions to this, that it can, in fact, actually temporarily affect our ability to problem solve and our IQ. So you can imagine that it becomes even more strenuous to actually solve the financial challenge for us in that scenario.
So aside from education, which is obvious, it's very important that people need to be financially literate. What can we be doing right now to help mitigate so we're not dealing with mental health issues due to finances?
I think what's really important is to reach out early. There's so much, or has been so much, shame and stigma around debt, and now is not the time to project that onto ourselves. Reaching out early to professionals who can provide unbiased, confidential, and free information, just like Bromwich+Smith, they can actually help you solve that issue before it starts to manifest into something else. So there's no shame in reaching out early, and I strongly encourage that to avoid, that ability to manifest into physical symptoms, which really, at the end of the day, our well-being is worth it, right? Our wellness is paramount.
Get ahead of it before it manifests. I think that's perfectly
Absolutely.
said. Thanks so much, Jasmine, for joining us as usual. For anybody looking for a little bit more information, you can head online to bromwichandsmith.com. Have a great day.
Thanks, Andrea.
Debt Real Talk with Bromwich+Smith. Free confidential debt relief consultations.